You're on. What, you don't want an impromptu drunk cooking?
Hello. Welcome to an episode of Drunken Cooking. I'm still a little hungover from last night from drinking, so best way to deal with a hangover is to get drunk again.
Duh. False.
Some people will agree. So today we are going to be making sage pork chops with bacon maple glazed Brussels sprouts.
Trust me, your kids will love these Brussels sprouts from now on.
No.
We need to start over. I don't want any impromptu kids input.
Into prompts.
Yeah, because you're trying to make yourself sound really
Stop it.
really annoying.
Dr. Pepper!
So, welcome to another episode of Drunken Cooking. I'm still hungover from last night. And the best way to do that is to get drunk again to get rid of it. So, we are going to make sage pork chops with bacon and maple glazed Brussels sprouts.
I love Brussels sprouts.
Mm-hmm. So from here, what we are going to do is we have our pork chops here. Boom. And we are going to season them
Stop it.
with a variety of parsley, basil,
Oh, that knife was used to cut cheese up from the
cilantro,
And why would they be not called sage?
Thyme.
Pork chops without sage.
this one, oh no,
Oh no.
rosemary, the key ingredient, tarragon.
Confused by your green. I'm confused.
Huh?
I'm confused how your key ingredient for sage pork chops is tarragon. And there is no sage.
Because I haven't finished yet.
Oh, okay. Are you gonna put garlic in it?
No.
Oh, bummer.
So, and then we have the sage here.
Okay.
And then sage. We also have salt and pepper that go into it. Can I help you?
I thought we had more
Can I help
rosemary.
you?
I thought we had more
I
rosemary.
have
Tarragon.
rosemary.
What wrong with sour then?
Tarragon. I thought I actually picked some up.
No, you
Pick up
said
margarine.
you said we don't use it a whole lot.
I did. I picked up mabajarami. Okay, so from here, we're gonna mix all these spices up. Then we're gonna crust the pork, fry it in butter each side until it gets nice and crispy. Then we'll put it in a. Hold on a
broth.
second.
We have beef broth. We also have like a roasted garlic
Yeah.
bouillon, which I love.
Better than bouillon. And we'll let that simmer cook in the beef bouillon for about 45 minutes. It's kind of a long dish to make, but it turns out wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really need to start the Brussels sprouts until
Halfway
it's
through.
about halfway through. And we will be back in just a moment.
Wait, are you gonna tell me how many spices I need of all these spices?
No, I don't. I said we'll be back in a moment.
Fine.
So pause it.
Fine.
You just took a proud out.
That's not a thing. Stop making fun of me.
Okay, so we're gonna make our crust base for our sage pork chops.
Does that show up on your things?
What?
The calendar drop down, geotab, logged out, all hours assigned. Does that show up in your video?
No.
Oh.
So I'm gonna put a little bit of pepper in there, and that's about a teaspoon.
It's very distracting because it's right in the line of sight.
So move it. use your finger and swipe it out.
Did.
And then parsley.
What?
I'm gonna put in about a teaspoon. Now it's dried, so a teaspoon looks
Like a tablespoon.
like a tablespoon, but it's dry. So most of this stuff is gonna be teaspoon to teaspoon and a half. Just because I only have really 4 chops, and a little goes a long way with your dry spices. Cilantro. Basil. Basil, go easy on. I try not to use too much. That's just kind of like that background flavor. Basil can overpower this dish very, very fast. I usually use this as the main, but I don't have a whole lot of it, so I'm just kind of emptying out my jar. Which is a bummer. Okay, so rosemary. Make sure you check your rosemary when you get home, because I had some from this Spice Island, and I'm pretty sure it was just tea leaves with a little bit of rosemary in it. Put some rosemary in there. Now you can adjust your spices up and down how you like it. Kind of dial it in. Most of the time I've made this so much I just kind of throw the amount in there. And, hey, yeah, that looks good. And it usually turns out pretty good.
I would say mostly by smell at this point.
And then the key,
The second key.
second key is sage. Yep, okay, that's sagey. And now for the moment where she gets all mad.
Over salt it.
Holy salt. Okay. So we're gonna kind of mix this now. The reason why I put a lot of salt on there is because even though that it looks like a lot, not a whole lot actually gets on the meat. A lot of the salt actually comes from the stuff over here. So get that nice crusty green going. I'll let that sit there. Got a pan over here, medium heat. Butter. Alright. And a little bit of oil so that way you don't burn the butter. Just a little bit. Once that gets heated up, and he walks right through
Thank you,
my
Greg.
video.
Well, he's taking Kiwi off
That's
my
fine.
shoulder because he's chatting in my ear, and it's, it is very green.
Very, very green. Get these ready. Now, if you end up putting too much on one more than the other, you can just kind of make them kiss a little bit, and it'll kind of transfer some of the other green on.
That's the weirdest phrasing.
Yeah,
That is.
I'll tell you what. See, now like here, I don't have a whole lot of green in there, and I don't have it on my other side. So you just kind of make them kiss a little bit, right? And then you get your stuff on all sides.
That's the weirdest method.
Huh? It is the weirdest method, but it works. So, let's take a look at the butter going on.
It's a little butter in it, but your butter is
Butter.
melting.
Butter's melting. It's melting! Okay, so, let's get my...
Queso's cheese.
Queso. Hey, actually, I just made some queso right here. Queso cheese. So now I'm gonna be like, now we got. Did you get it? Okay.
Okay, so I get it. It's a dad joke.
Alright.
Yep.
So we're gonna get medium. We're gonna actually get that heat up so that way when it hits the pan, it's actually gonna sear the meat or actually have it crust up. We'll get there. Alright. But while we're waiting, we're gonna come over here. This is a cup of better than beef bouillon. We'll use this to simmer our meat for 45 minutes. This will also turn into the sauce at the end that you actually lay over top of the meat. That turns out really, really good.
Yeah, it does.
Oh yeah.
Rinse our Brussels sprouts.
And take off the big leaves that were falling off. Make sure they're all nice and tightly wound up.
Yeah, we'll get there. Just kind of rinse these off now. 'Cause we still got a while. Missy E-Bear, why do you? It's like
Because now,
I am. It's in a cookie.
now look at her. She's got a cone on.
So
She was fixed the other day. Everyone loves the dogs.
wasted airtime. Wasted. Wasting. Look at her. She has a cone on her head. How smart can she be?
Hey, the other dog totally pulled the cone off of her so that way they could play, so. You almost look like you just stuck your hand in hot butter oil.
Yep, it's good. Okay, so from here,
Is it?
let's get there.
I don't think it's good yet.
I don't want to burn the butter either, because nothing browns like butter.
Doing terribly with the camera job today, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, you hear the sizzle? That's the sizzle that you want.
Now you want to try to get some space between them. So that way the butter wraps up around them, gets those sides nice and good.
How long do you leave them on with the butter?
I usually put them on each side for about 5 minutes. That gets a nice brown side on each side. Kind of cooks the meat. I mean, the meat's gonna cook when it boils through, but it'll actually stay brown. Most of the spices and stuff kind of fall off into the marinade anyway, I guess you would say. But for whatever reason, it works. Dumping stuff out.
Figured.
Yep.
Alright, oh, it's already smelling really good.
You gonna let me sit here?
This is one of my other favorites. Everything's my favorite. Sorry. Up and down.
Thank you. And let these cook. And then once they start to get brown, like I said, about 5 minutes is on each side is about good. I know this is not 5 minutes, I understand this. But it kind of gets...
You want it browner than that.
You want it browner than that. But, I mean, it crusts up pretty good if you just let them sit there. You can get away with 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes, but I usually use 5. And then what we'll do is we'll put the beef bouillon in here, bring it to a boil, let it simmer for 30.
Lidded or not?
Huh?
Lidded or unlidded?
Lidded. Halfway through the simmer process, you would need to flip the meat, but this will come later in my video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your butter's burning. Your butter's burning.
It's alright. Kind of get those edges. My meat moved.
You could fast forward through some of this, right?
Yeah, I cut it out.
That's got a nice brown on it. That one.
See, this one right here didn't pull from the pan, so it didn't release from the pan yet. So that one's not ready. When your meat is done, especially with butter, it'll release from the pan. And it shouldn't take much effort to, like, the effort that I'm putting into it was too much. See how it's not even close?
On the one side, yeah. Ruben, don't toss the dog's toys and stuff in the kitchen.
Yeah, because I'm making a video and you're being distracted.
No, it's not even that. You don't need burnt dogs.
Right.
I should be good now.
You don't lost all of its stuff.
Okay. It goes in the sauce, like you said. Alright, and then you let this side,
Yeah, go for about 3 minutes.
and then you put the broth in.
Yep.
You don't, again, want to start with cold broth. You want to start with hot broth. You don't want to shock your pan.
It's steadily becoming a cooking with the Baker family.
Oh, stop it.
Why?
Because I'm remembering some details.
The last 3 videos, I burnt you one video and you had to put your input in.
Because you burnt me.
The mac and cheese, I don't even know why I made that video. I should have taped you making it. And now you're telling me how to make my dish that I make for you all the time.
I love this. This is my favorite. And I'm just adding commentary that you're forgetting to say. Aww.
That's the point. That's why it's drunken cooking. You forget shit.
But if someone wants to learn the shit,
They don't watch it to learn. They watch it to watch us fight. Oh.
bat. And for the dog. They watch it for the dog.
Whatever.
Eat it.
Pan back up. We'll be back. Alright, so we're back. We got a nice brown, crusty crust on our meat. We're going to put the beef bouillon in. Go in nice and slow because you don't want to have the steam hit you. Steam hurts. Little by little, kind of add it in. This right here will also make it come to a boil a lot quicker rather than
Just dumping it in.
dumping it all in and waiting for it to come back up. Kind of like that. So then we'll bring this back up to a simmer.
A boil?
Well, boil, but you hit your boil first and then you drop down to simmer.
Okay.
If you didn't know that, but if you did, good for you. So we're gonna bring it back up to. It's already starting to kind of boil here for a
Standing
second.
in the light.
Huh?
You're standing in the light.
Sorry, standing in the light. See, it's already coming back up to a boil. And then once it gets to that point, we're just gonna back it down to about low medium in between. We're gonna cover it up. We're gonna let it sit for about 15 minutes. Flip the meat, let it sit for about another 15 minutes, and then we'll finish it out with taking the meat out, sticking butter inside what's left of the
Sauce.
no,
Gravy.
the stuff I just put in.
Broth.
Yeah, broth, that's it. And then you reduce that down and it makes a really nice thick sauce that you put on top of the pork. And then about when we get to that point, we'll start making our Brussels sprouts and I'll show you how I make those.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, go.
Welcome back to Drunken Cooking.
I forgot to show you the Brussels sprouts.
Well, I did. So the problem here is that normally when I do this
I have a
cooking show, I'm normally drinking either beer or 80 proof whiskey. Well, today I've been drinking 136 proof rum, so I'm a little fucked up right now. So,
terrible.
huh?
What? Nothing.
That's okay. So when I made my Brussels sprouts, I did a bunch of shit to them. So I took off the outer leaves, and then I cut them in half. Put olive oil, salt, pepper, and
Brown sugar.
brown sugar. Thank you. And then I put them on here. There we go.
Those actually look like they're done.
And then I put them in my oven at 400
probably actually broil it so we get crispy.
I'm getting there. So from there, my meat has been boiling down. When I put my cup of water, it was here, so it's boiled down quite a bit. I'm actually going to take the meat out now, put butter in there, turn it on high, and let it reduce down to make my sauce. I'm going to turn my Brussels sprouts on broil. I'm going to turn my corn up so that way we have us some leftover corn. We're going to have that tonight too as well.
Because I'm going to eat the Brussels sprouts and the kids are going to have the corn.
So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this out. Now, if you can always tell the meat is done. I mean, it'll feel like really overdone, but the when you start to boil it and you actually cut into it, it'll be, if you do it right, the meat will cut easy. It's still a little dry. It has always been dry since I've made it, but that's what the sauce is for.
It's because it probably doesn't need the full 45 minutes, but
yes, it does, because that actually lets the meat kind of break down a little bit. So I'm gonna turn this up and get this to a nice boil.
careful when you take that plate off because you have the oven on broil.
That's why I have it on there, so that way my heat stays
I'm just saying
on
if
my
you
plate
grab it.
and my meat stays warm. Yes. So we're starting to bubble. We're gonna grab some Land O'Lakes butter. I use about 2 tablespoons or 2 pads. Sorry, hon.
All right.
I'm gonna get that going. We're just gonna let that go and reduce down. Whisking is the best option for this. You can just let it boil, but if you add butter in, you want to try to mix the butter in, so a whisk is usually best. This moment here takes about 3 to 5 minutes. And it depends on how much liquid's in there and how much you want to reduce it down. I usually go down,
Make it gravy.
I reduce it down to it till it coats. Coats the back of the spoon. Get that mixed in there really nice. And I can smell those sprouts.
Yeah, I can too.
Yeah, not quite need to spin them though.
A couple of them are getting pretty burnt, so
Right.
they only need maybe
Alright. I'm gonna sit here and watch it and get a nice suntan on my face. I can barely feel it, but that's because I'm drunk.
Well, I'm not drinking today. Jesus. Close to me look fine.
Alright, so pull those off. Bam, we'll let that sit in there. They'll
Probably.
cook off a little bit. It'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. My drunken brain says it'll be fine.
I'm not drunk and I gotta eat it.
It'll be fine. Now, if you want to make more of a gravy type, you can add cornstarch. I wouldn't recommend it because if you go too much, it'll go real bad real quick. So usually I just do the reduced method. The butter will it will thicken it up. It won't look like it, but once you take it from the heat and it starts to cool down, it will thicken. So if you get to the point to where you listen and you can hear a lot of little bubbles, and I'm gonna try to.
You can see it.
It kind of looks like a nice gravy. Once it gets to that point, you can hear it really start to thicken up and bubble. We can turn it off.
It smells really good.
You can even just pull it right from the heat.
No, that still looks a little watery to me, but
Yeah, but once it cools, it should be okay. All right, so from here, we'll let that just kind of residual heat from that. Go from that. We are going to plate.
Dun, dun, dun.
Alright, so plating is, hey, we're over here. We're not watching the dog. We're gonna make
You're no fun.
my impatient wife her plate first.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because I love you so much. So,
I love these backhanded compliments.
yeah. Do you?
Yes. They fill my heart with joy.
You are all I need.
My brother is my best friend. It's all I need. So was that hot?
Very. Do I care? Not right at the moment.
About halfway through the cooking process, I think he added the maple syrup on here, which is different. But does it taste okay?
Yes.
Good.
Tastes fine.
You can also add bacon bits to this.
So, there it goes. Kind of thickened up a little bit.
Yeah.
How it coats nice.
Getting hit in the back of the leg by a dog.
And then you just kind of lay that right over top of that like that. My corn is not ready yet, but she said she did not want corn.
I don't.
Corn. Not my corn.
Looks good. Smells good.
Yeah, that's getting there. So that's hers. I will take pictures of the other finished products, and we will go from there. And thank you for joining me on another episode of Drunken Cooking, and have a good weekend.